this horrible disease not happened, I would probably still be sitting in an office, pushing numbers around on an Excel spreadsheet for the next forever and dying slowly every day inside. Instead, I'm making scones, I've got a big smile on my face, and it's gorgeous. Plus, it's given me the chance to actually go out there and set up a business that I can then go and feed people of Melbourne, in their own home, doing what they want, whatever they need to eat.
Hola y bienvenidos. Welcome to Molly Mama Cooking with Love. You're proud to join us for our weekly adventure where we talk about my favorite subject in the planet, food. We're going to be talking with a very inspiring caterer in just a few minutes. But let me tell you a little bit about him. So first of all, please go over to Vince Homemade's Instagram page. But just a warning, you're going to get hungry when you see all the things that he is making. And you're going to probably want some new gadgets that we'll be talking about in a few minutes. But he is here with us. And before we get started, I just wanted to thank him because he's also introduced me to several amazing chefs from around the world. And he is my very, very first chef from Melbourne, Australia. And he is going to be doing a live cooking demo while we do a podcast. He's going to be making me scones. How awesome is that? So with that, welcome, Vince. So great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for doing this. Looking forward to it.
And I am so excited. You're going to be cooking for me. I hope it includes butter because I'm a butter fan. So
butter is heaven. Margarine is not.
I don't think margarine is a real thing. So just
not real. Not real.
No.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This is quality proper butter made from real. Yes. Anyway,
yes.
So we'll be making scones. To save us time and mess, I got pre-weighed and measured everything, so we're all.
Okay.
Then I just need to make a mess with my fingers.
Okay. Yeah? Well, we're gonna enjoy watching you do this, and I know that scones you're originally from England, but now you live in Melbourne. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, about how you got started cooking? How did that happen?
Well, as a child, preschool child, I would sit at the end of the kitchen table. My mum would be making cakes and pastries and sausage rolls and various things that would then go into the lunch boxes of my elder sisters and my father, and her own as well, when they were at work. And I would just see all this wonderful yumminess appear from bags of flour and butter and nothing else. And I would be given a piece, I would roll it out, smother it in jam, I'd half of it on me, like we all do. Yeah, even as adults we do. It would be baked and I would eat it. And I was like, wow. Move on many years. I was helping my mum doing the various cooking, especially the Sunday roast. I love a Sunday roast. Do that before I went to university. And then the story which I've told you, I'm sat in the middle of an exam. I'm supposed to be studying semiconductor technology. All I can remember is how to make lasagna. So I wrote the recipe for lasagna on my I didn't pass. I don't know why. It's a beautiful recipe. I didn't pass. Friends told me, look, you've got to go into catering. So I did. I went to catering college. From there, I zoomed around. I did everything from very basic. It was actually a soup kitchen where I was working kind of thing, but it still needed to be done properly, learn the basics. And then I worked in Michelin-starred restaurants in the middle of London, doing hours that are probably illegal in terms of the volume of days, 7 days a week for 3 months, breakfast till midnight. Loved every second of it. But there's no money in catering in London unless you're at the top of the tree. So I had to leave. So let's then skip many, many years. Then Instagram called me. Yeah, well, not really. And because I've always been cooking. Yeah. When we bought this house, we bought a kitchen with a house attached.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we cook all the time. We love cooking, my wife and I. We actually fight over, I was going to cook there.
Wow, that's amazing. My husband needs to listen to this. So.
I cook at home a lot, and hence Vince Homemade, and that is how this business has come out to be. I will come to your house and I will cook for you. Yeah. Now, if you want, just cook me some dinner tonight because I can't be bothered. Sure. I want a table of 12 people and I want lobster thermidor. Sure. And we work it out from there.
That's lovely. That is so lovely. So I'm going to take you back to London because I think that when we were talking about the show, I stayed in a hotel that you used to work in, which is amazing. And I stayed in that hotel many times. It's my favorite in Windsor, called the Christopher Wren. And it's haunted. So, because now, right? So I'm not making this up. It has a history of being, isn't it like over 400 years old? It's very old.
Yeah, Sir Christopher Wren built St. Paul's Cathedral, and there'll be someone who will put a comment in and say I've got the wrong date. It was like 1600 and something. Yeah, he didn't build it on his own. There was lots of people. That was after the Great Fire of London. He needed somewhere to live, so he built himself a house on the banks of the Windsor, not far from the castle. And that then came a hotel, which I then worked in, and you then stayed in.
I would stay in, and I have to tell our listeners a story very quickly. But I had a colleague that was with me one time, and she called me in the middle of the night because she had to leave because she said she had a guest in her room that was not human. So she had gone to another hotel at 2:00 in the morning. She was fine, but she would never be staying there again. So when I found out you worked there, I'm like, wow, okay. So
it's amazingly small world when all said.
When all said. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a beautiful hotel. I agree. And what a lovely place to have worked. I mean, I know that you were probably working really hard, really long hours, but it's got so much history and it's so beautiful. And
Windsor's a lovely place. The hotel, I worked in an offshoot restaurant as well, which was actually overlooking the castle. So I had that view out of the kitchen window. I could actually see the castle. It's a great place. Yeah. I then moved into central London. I was working in hotels. I was working in restaurants. I worked for the Lord Mayor of London in the Guildhall. That gave me the opportunity to feed not only the Lord Mayor of London, but the Queen, Prince Philip, Charles.
Wow.
Then from there, I then worked in the Houses of Parliament, in the Commons. 4,500 meals a day.
Oh my gosh, that is so many plates.
Yeah.
That is so many plates.
Think about when you're making your dinner at home for your family and you make 4 things that are the same. Imagine making thousands of them, and the last one has to look like the first one, and there shouldn't be any difference in between.
Oh, I can't even. So my brain immediately is like, where do you store 4,000 plates for all these servings and different dishes? So like, where are they?
There was 28 different restaurants. 28, yeah. Now, those people that know London, yeah, Big Ben, one end of the building, St. John's Tower, the other, the bit in the middle, it's all restaurants and a few offices.
Wow, how fascinating. Okay, so I'm gonna jump to my scones because I want to see. Yes, we're not gonna have any.
Camera down.
Okay.
Going down. All right. We can see that.
Okay, it looks like you have flour.
Okay, I've got self-raising flour, and I've added a pinch of salt to this because otherwise I'll forget. I always forget the pinch of salt. There's 300 grams there. I haven't converted this to cups or anything. It's all in grams because if I do it in cups, I know I'll get it wrong.
Okay.
I've got 75 grams of unsalted butter here. Yeah. Now, I always use unsalted butter and put salt in because in that way I know how much salt there is. Now, the only thing I'm then going to add is some milk. I'm just going to mix this together first. Yeah.
Okay.
And people often say to me, what is the best gadget in a kitchen? And once you go past hands, which are the best gadget. There's so many things you can, it's got to be this. It's a little bit of plastic. It's not even anything, I've got dozens of these.
I do too. I use those all the time.
Yeah, forget your fancy mixers, although they're really good to have. Something like this, I can chop, I can scrape, I can lift, I can turn, all of those things. And when all's said and done, it's just easy to work with and does a lot of the work that you would take forever otherwise.
So you had your butter softened, right? And it looked like you had it in little pieces.
Yeah, I cut it off the bigger block while it was still cold, because it's easy to cut, and then chopped it into dice. Then just had it set on the workbench for the last hour or so. Because it needs to be soft. I need to be able to mash it like this. And all I'm doing, I'm just rubbing it through my fingers. I'm not trying to squish it because I don't want to lose the softness of what I've got in front of me. I don't want to end up with a hard ball of unpleasantness.
Now, and you wouldn't use a mixer for that?
I could, but where's the fun?
Okay, so it's better to use your hands. Okay, all right.
You asked a 5-year-old, would they like to play in the mud pit, but you can only use a spade?
No, I'm with you. I have lovely memories of making tortillas with my mother, flour tortillas, and I loved the feeling of just putting my hands in the dough. It's amazing.
Well, plus you can control it far better. Yeah, it's like mixer. It's just going round and round and round. It doesn't actually check what you're doing. You can't lift it like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So right, we're about there. I wrote this down so I don't forget. 185 mils of whole milk. I don't believe in skinny milk. Skinny milk comes from skinny cows.
I agree. They're not happy. So
they can't be happy. Poor thing.
No, they can't be.
No. So no, we whole milk always.
Same here.
If someone wanted to make this vegan, I'm sure they could. They'd just have to find a vegan cow to make it from. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, right. So, right. That's just roughly mixed in again with,
Okay.
Now I'm just basically getting it into a dough ball. I don't want to add anything else to it. And I don't want to squish it, like I say. And you know what? This isn't working. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It looks lovely. It looks like you're having fun. I'm envious.
Okay, because I'm just going to be chopping these up in a moment, but we can go with the question.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you, now that you've got Vince Homemade and with your Instagram account, can you tell our listeners, like, what's your most popular recipe?
In terms of what people like, it's generally my baked things. So my first post on Instagram was actually this. I made scones, and that was my profile picture for the longest time. Yeah.
Okay.
People love baked goods. Everybody does. Yeah. Now my favorites, it's got to be the pizzas. Yeah. It has to be everybody loves pizza. I don't know anybody on the planet that doesn't like pizza. And so I get all these requests. Oh, pizza! Oh, you've made fresh pizza. You've made fresh dough for the pizza. And it's like, yeah, don't you? It's not like dough is hard, or maybe it's just me.
Okay, and tell our listeners about your pizza oven that you have, because I have such envy over your pizza oven.
Well, when we moved into this house 20 years ago, it had a fairly okay oven, but nothing special. And I said to my wife, well, look, we've got a large back garden. Let's build a pizza oven out the back. And she's like, no. It's like, oh, go on. Yeah, well, it won't cost us a lot of money. Don't. They cost a fortune. It's taken me 20 years to finally work out how to do it. Yeah. And I bought one.
And it's a
And
portable
it's
one on
beautiful.
wheels, right?
Beautiful. It's just outside. Yeah, there are a couple of pictures on my Insta feed, and I can send you more if you need. Yeah, I can send you lots more. I was almost going to cook these in it today, but I couldn't get the fire ready in time. It wouldn't have been ready. It takes about an hour to warm up, unlike a regular oven, but it stays warm for hours. Yeah, I did a roast pork in it a couple of weeks ago, last week rather, last week, ahead of myself. And I cooked it when the fire had practically gone out. And it was absolutely divine. It just sat there cooking itself 3 hours, maybe more. You couldn't do that in a regular oven. It would have used like probably all of my electricity.
Okay, listeners, you have to go check out these pictures of his pizza oven on Instagram because I have so much envy. And like I was saying, doesn't it take you like a couple of minutes to cook a pizza in there? It's like really fast, right? It gets super hot.
It's super hot. It's got a temperature gauge on the outside that goes to 500 degrees centigrade, which is about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. I run it at about 350 to 400. And amazingly, that's just with like one log. That's it.
Oh
That's
my
all.
goodness. So in degrees for those of us in America, or in the United States, excuse me, isn't that like 800, 900 degrees?
900 degrees.
900 degrees. Okay, that's really hot. It's really, really hot.
That'll be cooked in seconds. Yeah. Now, are they? Yeah, they're still in the screen.
Yes, they look lovely. They look absolutely lovely. You did that so effortlessly.
In a hurry, but you know, what then happens is they kind of rise a little funny, and then you get that sort of like natural look. Yeah, you can have the ones that are absolutely perfect. I've never liked them because they're boring. Yeah, they look like they've come out of a machine.
So are you brushing milk on them? Is that?
Yeah, just milk.
Okay.
Bit of milk with my car wash dancing doodad.
That is the best brush I've ever seen.
You know those things. They stand outside of a car wash and do the crazy dance.
Yeah, I mean that thing looks like it could do the salsa. That brush, it's amazing.
Now I also, before we started, I turned my oven on. It's been on for about half an hour now, a little bit longer. Yeah, and that's on at 200 centigrade, which is I wrote it down. It's apparently 400 Fahrenheit. Right, see those in 8 minutes. I'm going to put a timer on.
Okay.
Better do that.
All right. And when you come back, maybe we can see your face again. Maybe you can turn your camera up.
I think that will be a good idea.
Lovely. Thank you.
There we go. I'm thinking the bench as we're talking.
Okay. And as far as pizza, you make your own dough. Do you make your own sauce too?
I've made the most beautiful sauces to go on pizzas. I have children. They love ketchup. Straight from the bottle, not even adding salt or nothing.
I'm sorry.
We get a fancy ham. For my wife and I, yeah, we do it properly. We do a fresh tomato sauce. Might even do smoked tomatoes. Do them really. Right. What do my kids want? No. Ketchup, the cheap sandwich ham, and tinned pineapple.
That's their pizza that they love.
That's their pizza. And don't dare vary it.
Oh my goodness. That is fantastic. Well, I know that when I make quesadillas for my niece and nephew, and I will usually have a fresh guacamole and a fresh salsa, and same thing. It's like, what do you want with your quesadilla? Ketchup? I'm like, oh no.
If they
I feel you.
Yeah. If they eat, you're happy. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Now tell us, you have another amazing gadget that I've seen. It's this roaster,
rotisserie, yes.
And that's also on your Instagram feed. So I've seen you do like a huge leg of lamb on it, and you do this amazing chicken dish, and it spins around and it roasts beautifully. And
yeah, that's we were in It was actually, I bought that, it was kind of funny. I got an email from another Instagrammer saying, oh, we love your feed, but you only barbecue on a gas barbecue. Have you got a charcoal one? I'm like, well, I want to get one, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. Went to the barbecue shop, and there was the barbecue, they wanted rid of it, $50.
Oh my goodness. That big, huge thing that you have?
I almost bit their arms off trying to get it out of the store. And yes, it's got the spit roast on. And I've cooked chicken on it. I've cooked souvlaki. Yeah.
Your souvlaki, it looks amazing.
And the roast lamb. Now, it doesn't do a whole lamb because it's only small, but I can easily get a couple of lamb legs on there. Or, I've done beef on there. Oh, the beef. Oh.
Really?
Lost the photo. It's probably a good thing. My Instagram would have gone viral and millions would have seen it. I can't deal with that many comments all in one go. It was on there for about 4.5 hours. It had this crust and it was all still rare in the middle. Oh, it was divine. Yeah, it's probably the best $50 I've ever spent in my life.
Yeah, I'm quite envious of that, Vince. I see it, and I have a gas grill that I don't use very often. I barbecue on wood, so I might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it's the gas grill we've got. You're doing just some sausages and some burgers.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it on, cook them, and turn them off.
Right.
But when you do something properly, especially now I've got the toys, the oven's only used for scones now.
Okay, so you talked about your most popular recipes. Do you ever make mistakes when you're cooking? Do you try?
So many. I've got. I don't think I told you this story. This was a really bad mistake I made in a restaurant once, and it was a combination of things. The butcher had prepared a whole tray of meat for a function, and it was all veal and lamb and everything. I was still really new in the kitchen. I barely knew the difference between a carrot and an onion. Go in, grab those 3 trays. We're going to be cooking them all off. It was busy. No one looked at what was going on. We cooked all of the food. It went out. Beautiful buffet. Everyone ate. It all disappeared. The organizer said, that is the best we've ever had. The following morning, the butcher came in and said, why did you use all the pork up? It was a bar mitzvah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Yeah. See, now I had a similar experience where there's a lot of potlucks. I don't know if you have potlucks in Australia at work, right? Okay, so you do have this. So, and they're big and they're huge and people bring amazing food. And I brought in my crunchy pork mole, and I put a label on my bowl because I work with a lot of Hindis and I know that they're vegetarian, which is fine. And I said, this dish contains pork. So, and I went and sat down, and later on, one of the women I work with came up to me. She said, oh my goodness, your mole was amazing. And I looked at her and I went, it had pork in it. And I go, wasn't the little label on it? She goes, I didn't see that. She goes, I've never had pork in my life. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. So I did a similar, but again, right, I felt so bad because we want to honor people's choices and their customs and traditions and their religion. But oh gosh, so yes, I can relate. I felt awful.
Oh, I felt really bad. And from that point, it taught me a really good lesson. Double check what it is.
Yeah, and then the following time I did something like that. I had a label on the bowl. I had a label in front of the bowl. Just like, this is like a meat dish. So yeah. Totally same here.
I'm a vegetarian family, and we have to be really careful for exactly the same reason. My son's got a nut allergy, so even more so. So we will go out. The first thing we look for is, are there sesame seeds in the bread? because that's a mistake you really don't want to make because it kind of ruins a day.
Yeah.
So it's really important for me to make sure that whatever the ingredients are, they're compliant to whatever the person wants.
Mm-hmm.
Be it vegetarian, be it they can't have milk or they can't have fish. I know several people that have got seafood allergies.
Mm-hmm.
It's
my niece
really,
also has a nut allergy. It's just
it's hard, but if you're aware of it, it's not. We found out the hard way. I made satay, and
you did.
my son, like all 5-year-olds, would only eat certain foods. He looked at it, he picked it up, bit into it. 3 hours later, once we left the hospital, we were fine.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. No, it's terrifying. Well, and I think there's things too that you just don't know that they have. And I think it's very frightening. Okay, let me ask you some other things. So you've been very forthright about, yes, you make mistakes, which is good to hear because I know I make a ton of my mistakes. So where are your recipes coming from? Are they just from you experimenting?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
4 more minutes. I just blinked. They come from everywhere. My friends on Instagram, someone will make, I've done this chicken and something dish. Oh yeah, I do something like that, and I'll go up and make one. Right. Or it'll be a recipe that I've been doing for 100 years, and I'll just change it a little. Or it'll be something I've eaten out in a restaurant. I could do that. Oh, I can have a go anyway. And those will be a lot of the inspiration. Or sometimes I'll just go in the fridge and go, what have we got? And I was telling you before, one of the things I made recently was a chocolate pear tart. I've never made chocolate pear tart before, but I've been given 2 large blocks of chocolate, 300 and something grams worth of chocolate, nearly a pound of chocolate. It's like, I'm not going to eat all of that in one go. But I shouldn't. So I made a pear tart. I didn't even have a recipe. I just guessed. Came out okay. Disappeared in half an hour.
That's more than okay then, if it disappeared that quickly.
So I just have a go. Go. So a lot of the times it's a question of, as it says on my Instagram, learn the basics and the rest is jazz. If you can do it, you can sort of, well, I know that kind of goes together. That kind of goes together. Oh yeah, that works. Or don't take a photo of that. Don't even look at it. No, put away.
But do you write things down so that you can recreate them later? Because I know I am super guilty of not doing that. So you do. That's great. Yeah, because my husband complains about my consistency problem. So
it looks impressive. It's not as impressive. But some of the recipes in here are really old. Some of them are, like this one, I know for a fact is 15 years old because it's as old as my son. It's for muffins. Now, I do still refer to it just to make sure that I get the right quantities. But, I've made them so often. I know by heart. I have to write them down in the end. I have to. But first time, that pear tart, I haven't written that down yet. It worked. And I forgot what I put in.
No, that's really great. Now we talked about like your favorite or the most popular recipe that you have on Instagram, but what's your favorite?
I love roast lamb, roast pork, roast chicken, beef, anything. It's okay. It destroys a kitchen. We all know because you've got every pan in the house being used because there's so many dishes. Mm-hmm. But it's like your own buffet. You've got maybe 4 or 5 different types of vegetables, all cooked differently. You've got roast potatoes, which they're just heaven if they're done right.
Potatoes. Oh, wow, potatoes.
And then whatever the meat is. Some people like their meat really rare. Some people like it really well done. Some dishes you have to do rare or well done. I'm thinking chicken. But the trick of getting it so it still tastes like something and it's not cardboard. And then getting it all to be ready. at the same time. Just the challenge, and then wonderful feeling when you sat there with a mass of different ingredients on your plate. That is my favorite.
That is so lovely. I was fortunate enough when I used to visit England all the time to experience a family's Sunday roast, and it is such a treat.
Oh,
it is such a treat, and like you said, it is a buffet in somebody's home that they've cooked. It's just amazing.
And Yorkshire puddings as well.
Yes, I have. It's very good.
Yeah,
it's
which
very, very good.
they're kind of hard to describe to someone that has never seen one, but basically it's pancake batter. Yeah, which you put into a large muffin dish with a little bit of oil in the bottom. The oil must be as hot as Hades. Put it back in the oven, 20 minutes, don't touch the oven. Out comes this big fluffy ball of yumminess.
I've actually made them. It's been a long time that I have made them. Many years ago, and I made a big prime roast one time. Yeah, they're so good, right? So good with prime rib.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm hungry. I better check these guys.
Okay.
Almost.
Okay. I have to go. So since shelter in place, seems like all my Instagram food people have joined the sourdough starter club. Have you joined? Oh boy.
Douglas is my sourdough. Yeah.
Douglas.
I was actually going to use him today because I've overfed him. Yeah, I did it because I was actually doing it before all of this happened. I just started beginning of February. It didn't work. I tried again. It didn't work. That's not good enough. It's got to work. I wanted to know. And then, yes, middle of March, when everyone decided, no, we're never going to work again. Whatever happened there worked here. Yeah? And yes, this is the basis for my pizzas, for my breads, my cinnamon scrolls. Yeah?
You do them with sourdough?
I do them with sourdough.
Oh gosh, that's got to be so good.
Yeah, it makes them just a little bit chewier. Yeah, and I make them, and because it's a sourdough, I can throw them into the fridge overnight, out of the oven, turn the oven on. By the time the oven's ready, they've warmed up enough, straight in. Oh.
You know, I have not joined the sourdough starter club. I'm afraid, because I have such an addiction to bread. It would not be good. I already have a serious addiction to tortillas. So it's like I just can't do it. But I see all the bread everybody's making, and it's making me crazy. So
we used to buy one packet of flour a week, and that would be for whatever. But since this, as you call it, shelter at home, since then, because I've been at home all the time, I've been doing so much more cooking. I would come home from work. By the time I got home, it was after 7 o'clock. Last thing I want to do is even stand up, never mind actually be in a kitchen and cook something. Fortunately, my wife works locally, so she could actually prepare the evening meals during a weekday. I only cook till the weekends. Now, I'm cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So
I'm buying
awesome.
flour by the sack.
Yes, I have been buying flour by the sack too, because I've been making more tortillas, and I've been making empanadas and baking a lot more. But I have a really good empanada recipe too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like empanadas. Yes. I use, it's ground chicken, but it's fire roasted poblano chilies and manchego cheese. Very good. They're good.
I actually started following your feed way back when, because now, okay, first of all, let's go back a long time. Early mid 90s, I had never tasted, because where I grew up, it was meat and 3 veg. The most exciting thing we'd have is maybe chicken with some seasoning on it.
Okay.
I moved to London, and I'm doing all this amazing food, Michelin rated food, whatever. I went to, they called it a Mexican restaurant. If you went in, you wouldn't recognize anything on the menu as Mexican. It was that, not even Tex-Mex, because it was English Tex-Mex.
Okay.
The only thing they had that I liked was the guacamole. I bought my first food processor to make guacamole. I bought my second one as well because I actually burnt the motor out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then I realized you don't make it with a food processor, you make it by hand. Yeah.
Yep. You do. You make it by hand. Ooh. Okay, you got to put them down and turn your camera so we can see those. And for our listeners, if you're not watching on YouTube, he's just pulled his hot scones out of the oven.
Yeah, so these are really hot. Do not touch things from the oven with your bare hands.
And that's exactly what you're doing. I do the same thing.
Yeah, never touch something hot from the oven with your bare hands.
Oh, but they look lovely.
Yeah, now. So yeah, I learned to make guacamole. I'll just tilt it up again. Then jump forward, and I'm like, there's got to be more than guacamole and enchiladas and just tortillas. I did a whole Google search. Yours was the first that came up on YouTube. I've never gone back.
Aw, that's so nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, now, some of the things we simply cannot get here in Australia. Like, I saw that beautiful soup you made, and you had a tin like this big of the corn. And I'm like, how many people are you serving?
So that's pozole, and he's talking about the hominy. And when I made that, we probably had like between 50 and 75 people that came through my house and had bowls of pozole. So yeah, I made a lot. So.
Oh, yeah, I saw the pot. It was like, yeah.
Yes, but I grew up on a farm, and that's what we did. We made really huge quantities, and our door was always open, and we just always had people eating. Always coming over and eating.
Lick the screen.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, so hominy, I lived in Alaska for a very short time, and I could not get that there. So when I was growing up, we actually made our own from dried corn. My mom would rehydrate it. So I got the recipe on the phone from my mother, and she said, you've got to put this lime stuff in it. So I didn't ask her. I don't know why. I went to the garden store, basically a nursery, and I got lime. And I put that in my dried corn. So yeah, you're laughing at me. So because you're a chef, and I called my mom and I go, something is happening. It's just turned into mush. She goes, what did you do? And I told her, she goes, no, that's not the lime. That's poison. I'm like, oh no. So anyway, yeah, that's one of my big mistakes that I've made. All right, so you're going to teach us how to eat these scones the proper way, and like, don't you put like crazy stuff on them, like cream and jam or?
I have cream, and we have jam.
Oh boy!
And I have my homemade lemon marmalade as well.
Oh, you make homemade lemon marmalade?
Only because the jar's sticky.
Oh my goodness, my husband would love that. He's such a lemon fan.
Okay, so down we go.
Okay.
So we've got the lemon marmalade. As you can see, there's not much left in that jar. We have the whipped cream. There's a little bit of sugar in there, and then just your regular strawberry jam. My wife taught me that the best way to eat scones is not use a knife, but just pull them apart. Because in that way, they don't break apart.
Look how flaky those are. Oh my goodness.
They're as flaky as, no, I won't say it because that sounds rude.
They look amazing. You just tore that apart, and there were just all these layers.
And then, now we can do, what I'm doing here is Devonshire style. Because just like the Lilliputians and Golgafrinchams of Gulliver's Travels, in Devon, jam, cream. The Golgafrinchams argue that you should eat the white first before the yolk of an egg, whereas the Lilliputians said you should eat the yolk first. In Cornwall, you put the jam on top. Now, I don't really care one way or the other. Just give me the thing.
Yum. Oh my God.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's dancing on the screen. So you have to go check it out on YouTube because it's darling. Okay, and tell me this. So if I was, because I don't think I've had scones in the UK. How many do you get per serving? And like, you just get one or?
You get, as you can see, they're only small, and they're for afternoon tea, usually. So you get it wouldn't be a mug, it'd be a proper fancy cup with a teapot and all the trimmings. And you get a couple of these. People generally have the two, and of course, yes, you break them apart. See the steam is still warm.
Oh.
They have to be served warm. You cannot serve them cold. They still taste the same, but it's just no fun. They've got to be warm. They've got to be warm so you know they're fresh. Because when all's said and done, they're a quick bread. And if they're not fresh, they start to taste stale very quickly. These will be off by tomorrow. That's if there's any left.
Oh my goodness. And I think it's so great that there's a proper way in one part of England and a proper way in another part, whether you put the cream first or the jam.
Oh, and Devon and Cornwall are next to each other.
Oh, oh, okay.
You think of England, think of the toe sticking out into the Atlantic. Yeah? That's Devon and Cornwall. And it's just, I think it's a myth that they fight over it, but it's fine.
Okay, that's all right. I wish I had one. That's all right.
I'll send you one in the mail. It might go a bit soft.
Oh my, I got to try and make those because those look really simple. Really simple. You made those so fast.
Well, I'll give you the recipe to put in the tag in YouTube as well.
Okay, that would be great. I will definitely do that. And then I'll let people try to convert it because I'm not good at that.
I'll do the conversions as well.
Conversions? Okay, because I'm not good at that. So that would be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. So since you, I know that we're getting short on time, but since you started doing Vince Homemade, what's been one of the biggest surprises so far?
Just how people are so interested in food that you didn't realize. I thought I was just odd. Yeah? A lot of my friends thought I'm odd. Yeah, they probably still do. But that I'm not the only one that it's the be all and end all for many things. I suppose it comes down to when we were in the caves and we'd all, we're all the cave people. They're like, oh, I brought you a piece of wildebeest, and they sit and share it. Well, we still do that now, just that we have cutlery and plates and tables and things. So that coming together of people, even, this, I'm eating this on my own right now, but we're not, we're eating together.
Yes, so definitely. Definitely.
So that amazed me. The fact that I managed to get so many followers quite quickly, really, without really trying. People were actually interested in seeing what I'd taken photos of. I love taking photos. I had another feed, which I barely use anymore, which was normal photos, landscapes, flowers, trees, things. That just grew and grew and grew, more with food photos. So I had to make Vince Homemade, and I had to just post food continually. And I've met great people because of it, like yourself.
Thank you. Well, and you've introduced me to so many people. It's fantastic. It's just amazing. So is there anything else that you want to share? Because I know you've gone through this, you've taken something from our pandemic and you've turned it into something very positive on a personal level from your career.
Oh, yeah, from a personal level, had this horrible disease not happened, I would probably still be sitting in an office pushing numbers around on an Excel spreadsheet for the next forever and dying slowly every day inside. Instead, I'm making scones. I've got a big smile on my face, and it's gorgeous. Plus, it's given me the chance to actually go out there and set up a business that I can then go and feed people of Melbourne in their own home, doing what they want, whatever they need to eat. They haven't got to worry about, oh, we can't go out, we can't find somewhere safe to sit. You're going to sit at home.
That is so lovely. I love that you have turned it around for something personal and that you're getting to do what you love. That is just fantastic.
Yeah. You can see the smile.
Yes, I can see the smile. I can see the smile, and I can feel your joy, which is fantastic. And I agree. Our lives we should be doing what we love if there's
Oh,
anything possible.
completely. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Vince, it was a joy to chat with you today. Thank you for making me scones. I really want one right now, but that's okay.
Let me just try and get in the camera.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. And the cream. I love cream too. Oh my. I like all that real dairy stuff. So thank you. I want to
Mustaches are great because you get to eat bits later.
save it for later. That's awesome. Well, I wish you great success, continued success. I will be following you for sure, continue to follow you, and cheering for you, my friend, mi amigo.
Thank you.
Very, very well.
Yeah, now you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, for our listeners, thank you so much for joining us here at Mole Mama. Please remember to add the most important ingredient to every recipe you make, your love. And as my mama always said to me as we said our goodbyes, que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you and may you all be well.